Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering the Thanksgiving NFL game slate preview. We'll preview those games. We'll discuss the Lakers' loss to the Suns. We'll discuss the Liverpool's victory over Real Madrid in the UCL. We'll preview the Eagles versus the Ravens, and then just do an overall preview of what we're looking forward to with this weekend's NFL games. Before we start off, if you have a question during the show, we want to hear your input is a big part of what makes this show successful, and we thrive on your energies and insights. Whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, please don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. And if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Just use that super chat button at the bottom of the chat box. Send in your super chat. This guarantees that your super chat gets read on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We really rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep the show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can always go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, or leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We do have to start off though with the Thanksgiving games of this NFL season, with Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, or depending, is probably coming today, depending on when you're watching this. But yes, we have 3 Thanksgiving fixtures. You have obviously the opening Thanksgiving game, the Detroit Lions opening up Thanksgiving football this year, taking on them Chicago Bears, divisional rivalry. Then we move on to America's team, always getting the game on Thanksgiving. This time going up against the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys are not in the best position, but still a big Thanksgiving game, always a division rivalry again. And then the night fixture, and it's a game that I'm honestly looking really forward to, with the Miami Dolphins playing themselves almost back into playoff positioning. They take on them Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. That will be the the Thanksgiving night game at Lambeau. I'm really looking forward to that one. Should be a really, really good game between 2 really good teams, in my opinion, with Miami having Tua back. We start off though with Detroit taking on Chicago. Excuse me. Last year the Detroit Lions played their Thanksgiving game, taking on Green Bay, and taking on Green Bay. This was in Thanksgiving, and the Packers went into Green Bay and they won. They won in, honestly, in convincing fashion. It finished 29 of 22. I thought that was really, and they came into that game. Detroit came in 8-2, hot start. This time around they're 10-1, but they came in 8-2, hot start. Green Bay was struggling. They entered that game 4-6, or not struggling, but really hadn't shown us like this could be a legit playoff team until that game was the catalyst. And that game turned them from 4-6 to 5-6 when they won 29-22. Jordan Love had himself a game, 22 of 32, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns. And it showed us, wow, okay, this Green Bay team has some talent. They have some ability. Chicago has an opportunity to do a statement of that. They'll be going to 5-7 instead of 5-6, and I don't think it'll be enough for them to go on a playoff run with this win. If they were able to pull it off, no. But I think Chicago has an opportunity to make this interesting. Chicago has the talent. Defensively, they're a well-oiled machine defensively. I think they're a really good defense. They did give up 30 to the Vikings in overtime last time around, but overall, I think they have a really, really good defense. Offensively, that Chicago Bears team struggles to move the ball because, well, quite frankly, they have one of they have one of the worst offensive coaching units ever. They ended up firing Shane Waldron because this is an offense that came out of high school playbook, and last game they looked decent against the Vikings. I thought against the Packers as well. Caleb Williams did some nice things. I thought he looked more comfortable in the last two games, and we've seen him look period under Shane Waldron so far this season. Under the season, they have the talent. When you're able to have, a wide receiving core of Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Romeo Dunze. You have the likes of DeAndre Swift in your backfield as well. And then you have the number one overall pick, the wonder talent in Caleb Williams. The offense has the ability on a Thanksgiving sort of stage to explode and really, really turn it around for them. And I think Chicago can do that. But I still think Chicago do have weaknesses too as well. And that as well, quite frankly, they haven't shown that they've been able to do it all season. And against Minnesota, though, there was some good signs. So maybe they can take that momentum. Maybe Caleb Williams can take that momentum that he had a really good game. He won 32-47 for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he was able to battle back, down 10 with about 30 seconds to go. And he was able to push it into overtime, obviously with the help of an onside kick. If he can take a little bit of that magic that he had in that fourth quarter and, carry it over to this game, I think Chicago have a chance to do something special, But again, Detroit just needs to be able to control, Detroit just needs to Detroit. They just need to do that thing. They have honestly the best offense in the league. I mean, they're just simply electric. No two ways about it. I mean, putting 52 past the Jaguars, 52 past the Titans, 47 past the Cowboys, 42 past the Seahawks. This is, ridiculous numbers. The way that they can be balanced with the run game and then the combination of Jared Goff and play action, how efficient he is. Jared Goff this season playing like a legit MVP candidate. He's 72% completion percentage, 2,761 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and all 5 came in one game. A quarterback rating or passer rating of 109.9. He's been absolutely electric. And the offense is absolutely electric. The way that they get everybody involved, the change of pace they have with a guy like Jahmyr Gibb, how they have the main receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, but they also have guys that can stretch the field like Jameson Williams. They have a Khalif Raymond. They have everything. It's a team that is not missing anything. It's not missing anything. I think the one weakness with Detroit, if there is a weakness, and it's hard to find weaknesses in a team 10-1, is defensively. Certain times they could get got. They could get got defensively. They did concede 29 to the Vikings, 29 to the Seahawks. Defensively, I think they're still a strong unit, yes, but if you're looking at a part of the team where you're thinking you can attack and you can you can expose, it'll probably be them defensively, because they can give up production. Sometimes they are really good at bending but not breaking. Really good red zone defense, but you'll be able to move the ball against that Detroit Lions defense. But overall, they just look so explosive. Jared Goff is playing the football of his life. Dan Campbell is coaching his what off. The way the aggressive nature of him and his play calling percolates throughout the entire team, and the way that they play, the way that they put everything on the line for every play, I think it's a real testament to Dan Campbell and the coaching staff in general. I think they, but as far as that Chicago Bears game, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We move on with the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Giants. That's going to be one hell of a game as well because... I can't even. I mean, bro, this has got to be one of the worst Thanksgiving games in a really long time. Both teams are eliminated from the playoffs. Cowboys live in some fairy tale land. Some Cowboy fans are in a little fairy tale land where they're saying, with that win with the Commanders, maybe they can run it up. They don't have the hardest schedule. The Bengals, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Commanders again, the Giants. This, not the most difficult schedule, but going up against the Giants, it looks like it's going to be Drew Lock, which I think they probably have a better chance winning this game. Giants do with Drew Lock as opposed to Tommy DeVito. Giants are a team. They can't get anything going offensively either. We saw them against the Buccaneers. They just couldn't move the ball. Tommy DeVito, 21-31, 189 yards. They couldn't stop the Buccaneers. They're just not a good football team. The Cowboys, they're not a good football team as well. They just won their first game against the Commanders since they won that Pittsburgh game way back when. I think the fact that this is a Thanksgiving game, Cowboys are home. I trust Cooper Rush more than Drew Lock. And then that extra factor of having like Kevontae Turbin as a return man maybe can potentially break one. CeeDee Lamb, I think he's probably the best player in this game at this point because both quarterbacks are backup quarterbacks. I'm going to lean towards the Cowboys. The big one, the one that matters the most, Miami taking on Green Bay. Miami, they are a playoff team with a flawed record because they've been missing their quarterback for a while. And for them to get into the playoffs this time around because of the fact that they've been missing their quarterback for a while, is that they have to do stuff this season that they haven't done, for a very, very, very long time now, or for my entire existence of watching NFL football. It's beat good football teams, beat legitimate football teams. For them to sneak into the playoffs, they have to beat legitimate football teams. I think they did I think they were about 75% there with that win against the Rams. I don't know what the Rams are. They a good team or are they an average team? The Packers, they're a good team. I would argue they're not the strongest 8-3 ball club. I would argue they're not the strongest 8-3 ball club, but they're still a good team. And to go at Lambeau, it's gonna be a test. And we'll get to see Tua. We know he struggled last season in the weather in Kansas City. We're expecting 30-degree weather with snow. Is that going to be a factor with him in getting the ball to the likes of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Defensively, I think Miami Dolphins have found a formula of recently. They're playing much better defense. 15 to the Rams, 19 to the Raiders, 15 to the Patriots. Can they take that defense into Green Bay? Will that defense travel also in that weather? That's going to be a big impact in this one. I'm kind of favored. This is a tough one. Wow, this is actually a tough one for me. I'm going to slightly lean Green Bay, I have to say, just because of the weather and the fact that they're home. I'm going to lean Green Bay, but I think Miami could pull it off. I really do. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will discuss the Lakers' loss to the Suns.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we discussed the Thanksgiving NFL games. We move on to react to the Lakers loss to the Suns. So the Lakers lost to the Phoenix Suns 127 to 100. And you know, JJ Redick came out after the game. By the way, the Lakers beat the Spurs today, 119-101 as well. So there's that. But regarding that Lakers-Suns game, the JJ Redick came out and said in that third quarter, they just stopped fighting. They just got outworked. Essentially, that's what he said. And look, it was an even game at halftime. You know, fairly even game. I believe the Suns were up 2. And then in that third quarter, the Lakers went on to get outscored by 18 points, by double the points. It was a 36 to 18 point margin. And that was really the turning point in the game. And you look at the Denver Nuggets game, very similar situation the game before. 127 to 102 loss this time around. At halftime, it was a 6-point lead for the Lakers, believe it or not. Yeah, the Lakers were a 6-point lead at halftime. The Nuggets came out in that third quarter, and they won by even bigger margin in that third quarter, by 22 points. This is a 37 to 15 game. 37 to 15 third quarter, and I don't know what that really comes down to with the Lakers' slow starts to start that the second half in those two games. You know, even against the Magic, you know, at halftime, the Lakers went in up 7. They get outscored in that third quarter by 8 points, and they end up losing the ball game by a point with the 80 missed free throws and all that. That's 3 straight losses that the Lakers suffered to the Suns, Nuggets, and Magic. And it's been weird, the Lakers. They had a really good start to the season. Then had a little bit of a losing streak. Then they got a good. Then they went back on a decent run, and then go on another mini losing streak. And now they finally got back on the right side with the 3 straight L's, with the victory over the Spurs. Right? But the Lakers transition defense has been killing them. They give up way too many fast break opportunities. They don't get back. Defensively, they give up way too many threes. I don't know if the assignment is off or they're just not playing the right defensive coverages, but they give up far too many open threes. And with this day and age, with the shooting ability of players at this day and age, when you're going up against the likes of a Kevin Durant, of a Bradley Beal, of a Devin Booker, you will get sniped. You'll get sniped. Kevin Durant went 3 of 6 from 3-point range. Bradley Beal went 3 of 6 as well. And then Devin Booker, I believe he went 3 of 6 as well from 3. Or he went 3 of 7. You can't give that many open threes up. You cannot allow teams to shoot like that against you, or you'll be out of that ball game. And that's exactly what happened. And I think the Lakers are a little too over-reliant on LeBron and Anthony Davis. If LeBron and Anthony Davis don't have a Herculean effort, then you're almost picking, you're almost trying to dig any sort of production. Austin Reeves, he hasn't really been to the level that he was 2 seasons ago. It's certain games like this game he was good. He had 15 points, got to the bucket, was efficient, only went from 6 or 12, hit a couple threes. But overall this season he's averaging 17 points a game. He's been solid. He hasn't really been that game changer. He's not a number 3. D'Angelo Russell, his inconsistencies as well. Dalton Connect, he's a rookie. We could not expect him to have that 37-point game over and over again, Even though today against the Spurs, I thought he showed up. He had 20 points, went 4 of 10 from 3. That he was what I love about Dalton Connect is as a rookie, it's the confidence, it's the swagger. Like, I'm playing against LeBron and AD still. I'm going to pull up over you, even if it's a contested shot, and I'm going to make it because I'm 6'6", and you just can't guard me. You're just too little. I love that nature about him. He has that mindset. And Austin Reeves, to an extent, has that mindset too. A fearless player as well, Austin Reeves. It's just the form hasn't been great so far. I expected him to be a little bit better after what he did for the Lakers 2 seasons ago. I expected him to steadily improve from there. And not saying I think he plateaued is a better word than saying he got worse, but he definitely plateaued, And yeah, the Lakers, you cannot be just that reliant on LeBron and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is, playing like an MVP candidate, and yes, you can be heavily reliant on him, but LeBron is LeBron is on the other door, was like 1 foot into his age 40 essentially, and it's just difficult to ask him to do, to do what he, to be LeBron James on a night-night basis. He did have 3 or 4 straight triple-doubles this season, which is incredible. He's shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, averaging 23, 8, and 9. I mean, for a 39-year-old on the verge of turning 40 in a month, he's absolutely incredible. But to expect this night in and night out to be LeBron James, like prime LeBron, is just unfair. It's just unfair. They're gonna need to get more production outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and they need a third guy that can consistently produce. You have a lot of cats, the Lakers do, on guys that will give you a game here and there. You have the Rui Hachimeras, who can suddenly give you like a 16 that he gave today against the Spurs. You have a guy like Dalton Connect that can give you a decent game once in a while, which is incredible because he's a rookie. You have Austin Reeves that can do that. D'Angelo Russell, he's probably the biggest wildcat of all of them. He could be, he could give you a 40-point game, amazing ball game, or he could give you a 0-point ball game going 0 from 13 from the field, where he's literally the worst player ever. He's such a wild card as well. So you have to find the right balance. You need that third guy that can give you consistent 20 points a night next to LeBron and AD, and that's not something that's easy to find. And there's, and the rumors are always gonna rumor. I saw a report saying there's a growing sentiment that that the Lakers, need to make a trade for a guard like LaMelo in order to help preserve LeBron and AD for the playoffs. Rumors are always gonna rumor. I'll tell you what. But for the Lakers to, make that run into, they will need a third guy that's consistent, that can consistently, the salary cap and all that is something that you have to fluctuate with, of course, but that's something that could drastically improve the Lakers, in my opinion. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to Liverpool's victory over Real Madrid.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we discussed the Lakers lost to the Sun. We move on to react to Liverpool's victory over Real Madrid in the Champions League. Liverpool were able to win 2-0 in the what are we now in September, October, November, in the third month of the Arne Slot era. Just assuming that he started in August, September, October, November, right? In the third months of Arne Slot's era at Liverpool, they have managed to do what they couldn't do in 9 years under Jurgen Klopp, and that is get on the right side of a result against Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid have absolutely owned Liverpool in recent history. I mean, you're talking the 2 Champions League finals that they beat Liverpool in. You're talking about quarterfinal during the COVID campaign. I think it was around the 16 or quarterfinal in not Klopp's final year, but the second to final year. They've done a lot of damage to Real Madrid, to Liverpool. A lot of emotional damage as well. But this time, it was Liverpool that got on the right side of the result through goals from Alexis McAllister in the 52nd minute and Cody Gakpo in the 76th minute. And they looked absolutely like the better team. They outplayed Real Madrid from minute one. From minute one, they came out with a different intensity, a different desire. Not saying they outworked Real Madrid, but just seemed like they had more energy. Real Madrid really, really struggled from minute one. And this is not Liverpool of before where, you're constant pressing from minute one. This was a little bit of a more measured approach for Liverpool going up against Real Madrid. Trying to see it out, trying to, not saying Liverpool, they did the domination and all that, but, usually under Jurgen Klopp, when you're Liverpool, you're trying to go at a team 99 miles per hour. It's a little bit more composed. Liverpool are comfortable now just spending that 2 to 3 minutes, just calm possession, to calm things down, to control the game, to control the tempo. And I think, maybe that gives you a better chance with that philosophy than Jurgen Klopp's philosophy with just going at them 99 miles per hour and leaving yourself vulnerable in the counterattack where players like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo can melt you. There's that aspect to it. Number 2, Real Madrid, they just don't have that gel that they have last year. Toni Kroos missing in that midfield obviously is a big factor. Mbappe's he's psychologically, he's shot right now. He's psychologically shot. I mean, look, Cody Bradley, great story. 21-year-old coming in, that tackle, all that. Played a really good game. Phenomenal. But the way Mbappe got done on that, that old school tackle, and it was a clean tackle. there's something wrong with Mbappe. He just doesn't fit at Real right now at Real Madrid. You saw that bump from Van Dijk and the way Mbappe like rolled on his head. I see some clips of him also in the tunnel in halftime where he kind of looks lost. And quite frankly, I don't have that much sympathy over Mbappe because of some of the things that he's done in his career, because of his ego, the way he's alienated legends of the game like Messi and Neymar. I don't have much sympathy, and I think this is what is happening right now is nothing short of, quite frankly, what he deserves. I mean, the ego needed to be checked, and what I love about the game of football is you'll get checked. And for him to get back to that level, he has to come to the understanding that, he needs Real Madrid. Real Madrid don't need him. And he's coming here with, almost the same BS that he had at PSG in terms of not really defending, not being involved in the defending side of it, the pressing side of it. Real Madrid, for you to be effective, you're going to have to work. Because Vinicius is the passenger. You have not done anything in that Real Madrid shirt to be the passenger. And in this game, Vinicius Jr. Wasn't involved. He's out. And they went with Mbappe and Brahim Diaz and then Alvegula as well. The problem is not that Mbappe is just not being able to fit with them. That is not the problem. Because this is a totally different unit. You have left footers like Brahim Diaz and Arda Güler on the field. He's just not playing his football that he's played out in the past. I think sometimes it looks like he's lost that little bit touch of pace as well, which is crazy to say that because he's only 24 years old, or 25 years old. So but sometimes it seems like he just lost that little bit touch of pace. Just doesn't have confidence. When you're playing with low confidence and you're on your own head and you're psychologically shot. We saw what Deschamps said as well. He thinks it's all mental with it going on with Mbappe right now. When you're on the field, you almost get tunnel vision. The game that you played till you were the beginning, till you were very, very, very young, and the game that you love playing. When you get tunnel vision in that moment, you completely forget the game that you love, the game that you played your entire life. And I think we're seeing that. We saw that unfold beneath our very eyes with Kylian Mbappe. As far as Liverpool, I'm continuing to be so impressed with Ryan Gravenberch. What he's been able to do at Liverpool this season, playing in the position that I never, I never saw him play. And it's a position you wouldn't expect a player of Gravenberch's profile to play. When you think of holding midfielder, you think of someone who's a little bit more, a little bit more beef so that they can do the defensive work of a holding midfielder and someone that has a long, passing range to be that conductor and all that. I never really saw that aspect to it with Gravenberch. But the way he's been able to hold it down, the work rate as well, how, long reach passing is still not his forte, but what he does in terms of the short and mid-range, just being a connector in there. And the way he played this time around, going up against Modric, Camavinga, Bellingham, some experienced midfielders, I thought he was great. Obviously, Connor Bradley, everybody talking about that tackle, just played a fantastic game, completely obliterated Mbappe, Konate, Van Dijk. It's crazy to say going up against Real Madrid, but it's hard to say that they were even tested. I didn't think they were really that tested in this ball game, honestly. I thought it was a comfortable victory for Liverpool, who look absolutely in dreamland right now. First in the Premier League, 8 point clear of the top. In the Champions League, the only team sitting perfect, 15 points from the 5 games, 12 goals scored, 1 goal conceded, just playing some absolutely brilliant football in both. And the balanced nature to them it's hard to say. It's hard to find where Liverpool are going to concede enough points for City to come back. And don't clip this or anything saying I'm saying the league title's over. No, none of that. But it's just like, this Liverpool team is legit. And I'm so surprised at how they've been able to bounce back of Klopp leaving and bringing in Arne Slot and having this transition. How they've been able to transition it's not even, you can't even call it a transition. This is just picking up exactly where Jurgen Klopp has left off. I've been absolutely amazed, and now they have a chance to go up against Manchester City in Anfield with an opportunity to be 11 points clear in the at the top. 11 points clear at the top of Manchester City. You have an opportunity to be 11 points clear of Manchester City if you can beat Manchester City in this one, Liverpool. And this is a Manchester City coming in horrible form. They had the 5 straight losses. Then they had that draw, the draw to Feyenoord, which is really a loss when you take in the fact that City were up 3-0 and they conceded 3 goals in the last 15 minutes or so, 16 minutes or so, to allow Feyenoord to get that point. Man City are in an ultra vulnerable position, and I think that it makes this Manchester City Liverpool game that much more exciting and scintillating. But as far as Liverpool in the Champions League, 5 wins from 5. It's looking like they're going to be in that top 8, and, that's great. Real Madrid, on the other hand, they are sitting 24th in the Champions League through 5 match days with only 3 left. It's highly unlikely at this point for them to get into the top 8. In fact, it's very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because let's say they go 3 of 3 and they finish with 15 points. No, I don't think they'll be able to get them into that top 8, honestly. And I think Real Madrid, they can be in trouble. They have PSG on the tail of them with 4 points. PSG's been so far pretty god awful as well in the Champions League. And Real Madrid, they don't have the most easy of fixtures. Atalanta in Bergamo, that can be a difficult game for Real Madrid. Last time Real Madrid took on Atalanta, actually, it was a good game. It ended up it was a red card for Atalanta, and it's still this was the first fixture in Bergamo. It was a red card for Atalanta, denying of obvious goal scoring opportunity, and even with that, it took a last minute wonder goal from Ferland Mendy to get the win. Atalanta could cause them issues, and then they also have Brest, the French club, in match day 8 away in France. Brest has looked good in the Champions League. They are 3 wins of 5, 1 draw, 1 loss. Weird things can happen. Now, overall, I do think they're safe in terms of moving on into the next round, but I think it's a huge loss for them to have to play those unnecessary games in January. This is a team that has a lot of fixtures already. They have that Club World Cup final. They have a lot of competitions that they're competing in, and they lack that cohesion as a unit. But short break here coming up. When we come back, we will preview Eagles taking on the Ravens.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
before the break, we discussed Liverpool's victory over Real Madrid. We move on to discuss the Eagles-Ravens game. What a game. What a game. What a game. What a game between the Eagles and Ravens. In my opinion, primetime games are great. Don't get me wrong. Primetime grades are wonderful. A good Sunday night game, a good Monday night game is great. Thursday night, forget about it. I'd rather play on a Sunday 12 o'clock than a Thursday night. Thursday night fixtures, they could do away with Thursday nights. I wouldn't bat an eye. Sunday nights, Monday nights, it could be a great, that could be great games. You could have good vibes and all that. But in my opinion, with something unmatched, I would consider my real prime time is that Sunday late afternoon, 3:25 or 4:25 Eastern games where especially later on in the season where it gets nighttime earlier and you're playing an Eastern Coast game. So it's essentially a night game, but it's a late afternoon game. You have the either the Fox crew or the CBS First crew or whatever covering a big game late November between two contending teams. This is the real prime time, and that's exactly what we're getting with the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Two teams coming off huge victories in their previous weeks. Philadelphia Eagles behind Saquon's 255-yard ball game with 2 touchdowns, being able to get past the Rams on Sunday night. And then Baltimore getting another primetime victory with their Monday night victory over the Chargers. The Philadelphia will get that extra day of rest because they played on Sunday while the Ravens played on Monday night. Ravens are the home team in this one at M&T Bank Stadium. So that will be a factor, that Baltimore Ravens atmosphere is always going to be a factor. But I think the main storyline of this one is Saquon versus Derrick Henry. These are two running backs that have had a ridiculous season so far. Both running backs through week 13. Are we week 13? No, we are not week 13. Yeah, both running backs right now about to enter week 13 already have 1,300 yards. And the incredible thing about Saquon is their team as Saquon is the Eagles have already had a bye. So what he's done has been even more incredible. And they're both coming off really big games this weekend. Derrick Henry had a good game, really good game against the Chargers. Saquon had the game of all running back games, 255 yards in 2024 with this passing offense. Give me a break. Give me a break. Absolutely electric. And going back to this game between the Ravens and Eagles, two really, really good teams, two teams that play good, complementary football. I think there's going to be an enormous amount of talent that it can be out on that field on both ends. When you talk about, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Lamar, Jalen Hurst, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, incredible, athletes going to be on that field. And for me, I love the two styles of Philadelphia and Baltimore and how both teams want to go about it, contrasting with each other. I think there's similarities in both teams and how both teams want to go about it. When Baltimore are not on their bull, and my key to the game is something I think will be a big factor in this game, especially a little bit more for Baltimore, is if one of these two teams does jump out to an early lead, I think it shifts how both teams want to go about it, because both teams, primarily they want to be a run heavy football. The team that gets knocked out of their comfort zone, is the team, in my opinion, that will struggle in this one. Because I think with both teams, with how relatively talented both teams are, it's going to be hard to mount a comeback against any of these two teams, having to go not with your weakness, but not your strength. Because both teams' strength is to be a dominant running team that can play off of that. You saw, if you compare what the Eagles looked earlier this season compared to how they look now, it's a lot of been because of that running game, that surgence of that running game. They look a completely different team when that running game is going. How many times have we lamented the fact that the Baltimore Ravens, forgot about the run game? How many times when we talk about the AFC Championship, we talk about the fact how they just completely neglected the run game, and that's something Baltimore can be culpable of, forgetting the run game in situations when you get down. And sometimes as a play caller, I talked about it in the last segment, how you can play the game if you're nervous, if your confidence is low, because you have tunnel vision. Sometimes play callers get tunnel vision. You see one or two run plays get stuffed, and you suddenly decide, oh, I don't want to, we're not running the ball no more. Let's put the ball in the MVP hands, in Lamar Jackson's hands. Despite the fact that you're only down, 17-7, and you're still in the ball game, you just need to get one drive going, no matter how long it takes, just get that one drive in. You start wanting to get it all back in one play, and you totally neglect half your playbook. Whichever team gets away from how they want to go, I think will really struggle to mount that comeback, because either of these two teams are, capable of, once getting that lead, killing it off. Just how dominant they are. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith going up against this Baltimore Ravens defense, though. I'm concerned about that Ravens secondary still right now, I still think that's a major concern. And I think that Ravens team will have to load up the box, semi-load up the box, to stop Saquon. You get one-on-ones with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, that Ravens defense, that Ravens secondary, good luck with that. Good luck with that. So that, for me, I'm very looking forward to the Ravens, how they go about stopping the run game, and how comfortable they are of leaving themselves in one-on-one situations with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I think it's a big, big mistake, and I think you have to pick your poison almost if you're the Ravens team. You either load up the box and stop Saquon, or you play a little bit more safer. You don't allow A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to get the big plays, and you get constantly gashed by Saquon and the occasional run from Jalen Hurts. So there's that factor of it as well. Obviously, if you're an Eagles fan, you're just hoping Nick Sirianni doesn't, show his ugly head and suddenly decide, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm not taking any PATs again, and just completely, mess up the game like he did against the Jaguars. You don't want that to happen. Definitely think the coaching advantage goes on one side. And I'm not a big Nick Sirianni hater, honestly. I think some of the hate that he's been getting, is ridiculous. You go to what Nick Sirianni has accomplished as a Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, it's been impressive. He made the playoffs the first year with the team that you argue probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs. Then in his second year, he went to the Super Bowl. Third year, they start on 10-1, and then they have, had a poor second half, of that season, to say the least. It was really, really poor. And they end up getting eliminated, the Buccaneers. And then this season, they've been absolutely excellent. But sometimes Sirianni can make some boneheaded decisions, and sometimes, he's emotional with his play calls and decision making and all that. But look, Dan Campbell, I can accuse that of Dan Campbell sometimes too. I think he has, he calls plays with emotions a little bit as well. And, for one coach, we call him a gambler in a good way. The other coach, we call him a fraud. And it's kind of the biases of the NFL. And, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm going to lean... this is difficult. I think the Ravens have shown inconsistencies this season that the Eagles haven't. We saw what the Ravens look like against the Steelers. I think for every, for every good win that we get from them against a really good opposition, we also get a bad loss. And I think that bad loss is probably coming in this one. I think the Eagles will beat them. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will discuss more of this weekend's NFL games. Before the break, we discussed the Eagles taking on the Rams. The Eagles taking on the Ravens, previewing that game. We moved on. We're moving on to preview the rest of the NFL games coming up this weekend. We previewed the Eagles-Ravens game, of course, and then all the Thanksgiving fixtures. We do have to start off, though, with the Black Friday game. Interesting, this season, when you get a Black Friday games, we get all kind of weird games this season. I believe later on around the around the Christmas time, I believe we have a Wednesday game that year. Was it a Wednesday game? I think it was a Wednesday game. Between something like that. I don't know if it was Christmas time or whatever, but we have a Wednesday game. Something weird like that, and it's just the NFL. They're with how they go about it, I guess. This time it's the Black Friday game with the Chiefs taking on the Oakland Raiders. Look, I mean, I expect this game to be a lot more competitive than what it's supposed to be, but overall, I just think the Chiefs are gonna win it. I think the Raiders will play hard. This is a division rivalry. They're gonna try to do what they did last season as well, play a really good game going up against Kansas City. But I just think that the Raiders, they're gonna have to start, they're gonna have to. What's the word? They're gonna have to start. What's his name? Aiden O'Connell, and we know what Aiden O'Connell is or what he isn't. There's a reason why Desmond Ridder was brought in. Or I think they're prepping both players, and and one of them are gonna start. Whoever it is, I mean, they're both pretty bad. How Desmond Ridder started in the NFL is still astounds me. And yeah, Kansas City is just gonna win that one. Let's just be for real. Texans taking on the Jaguars. I think this has the potential to be a really, really good game in the early slate because, Jacksonville, they can play up to certain teams, and I think they're getting Trevor Lawrence back for this one. And Houston, they've been poor this season. They've been really poor, and they're lucky that they are in the worst or second to worst division in football because they'd really be in there, and I still don't think they're in any sort of danger to lose that division. They have a 2-game lead over the Colts with the tiebreaker advantage because they won 2-0 against the Colts. So the Colts would have to finish a game above them. And for that to happen, it'd have to be an almighty collapse for the almighty collapse for the Houston Texans. Yeah, they're just not that good of a football team right now. And, defensively, they're top 5 defense, arguably. Or I'll probably say top 8 defense. But offensively, they just don't generate enough. The run game is inconsistent. The offensive line really struggles to protect C.J. Stroud. They commit a lot of penalties as well, especially earlier on the season. Laramie Tunsil's a hold waiting to happen. Stroud just has regressed this season, quite frankly, especially in that second half of the year. Certain overthrows leading to interceptions, underthrows, missing reads. Yeah, I'm going to say Texans win this one just by virtue of Jaguars being horrible, but yeah. Colts taking on the Patriots. I think Colts have a potential to make a playoff run. They are a very talented football team, and they've shown this season that they can play some really, really good complementary football. Offense, defense, very balanced team. It's just the inconsistencies from quarterback play. But I think in this one, going up against a New England team that has a good defense, but overall on the offensive side of things can't generate much production, I'll favor Indianapolis in this one. Chargers taking on Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion, are a team in contention of potentially falling apart down the stretch. They're 6-5 right now. Now they only have a hold the game lead over the Buccaneers. Obviously, there's a game. They have the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers with the 2-0 record over the Buccaneers. But they got blown out by the Broncos. They lost a bad one as well before that to the Saints. The Saints, that was their first win in 7 weeks or something crazy like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. The Falcons, their wins, they got destroyed by the Seahawks, and their wins are by the closest of margins. I don't really think this Atlanta team is all that. I think they're missing something, and they've been sort of surviving with their 6 wins as well. And I think they're a well-coached unit, but yeah, I don't see them like that right now. And I'll favor the Chargers. Seahawks taking on the Jets. Yeah, I don't know what to say with that. Seahawks, Jets actually, they could pull something off here. Seattle going away to the Jets. This is Geno Smith coming back to. I don't know if it's the first time he's been back to New York playing. No, probably not. He's been around for so long, but probably the first time with him in Seattle though. Yeah, going up against the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are good for one more, right, or a few more, and it'd be great for them to do it to the Seahawks as a 49er fan. I think the logical thing is to favor the Seahawks, but I don't know. The Jets could pull it off. The Jets have enough to pull off upsets like this here and there. So I'll say the Jets can get that one. Titans taking on the Commanders. The Commanders need to get right. This is an opportunity for a get-right game now. With Tennessee, they can play some good football, honestly. I thought they played really good against the Vikings, and I think questionable officiating and just overall one or two things not going their way was what led them there. And then they played a really good game against the Texans, in which they beat the Texans. I think they can make it difficult for the Commanders, I have to say, and I'm gonna stay really tuned in on that one in the 12 o'clock window because we'll get a better look at Commanders. Is this a team that's sort of coming back down to reality, and they're just not that good of a team that we saw earlier on? Or or that was just a blimp, and they're gonna enter the postseason with a little bit of momentum. Because right now the postseason is honestly is in a big question for them with the way they're performing. Bengals, Steelers, one last chance. I guess Cincinnati has one last chance to, they're on their last life, and that last life is contingent on, other teams losing games. And yeah, look, Cincinnati, if they play their game, they're a brilliant team, but they need to get it together. They need to play, they need to get it together. They need to play a complete football game. They can't have these slow starts and having to battle back and having to get these heroic performances from individual players. And the Steelers, obviously, this is an opportunity for them for a get-right game. Really big game for the Steelers. They're in a battle with the division now with the Ravens. You don't want to lose a game like this to the Cincinnati Bengals. Because that is another division loss as well, and the Ravens are looking really strong right now. Depending on what happens to that Eagles game as well, you don't want the Ravens to start gaining momentum for that division crown that the Steelers I thought had firmly had after beating the Ravens a few weeks ago. I think that's a pick-em game almost. I really do. I can't favor any of these two teams, which is crazy with the 8-3 ball club taking out a 4-7 Bengals team. But the Bengals are a really weird 4-7 team, so like an incredibly weird 4-7 team, honestly. So yeah, there's that to it. Cardinals taking on Minnesota. I think that's a really interesting one as well. The Cardinals have looked good this season. They had that loss to Seattle where they just got completely shut down offensively, which is weird to me because I thought Kyler Murray didn't play a bad game. We were in 24-37, 385 yards. But in the red zone, they were shut down. He threw that pick six to Kobe Bryant, which completely changed the game. Which completely changed the game. It was actually the only touchdown score of the game, and yeah, I was surprised at how stagnant their offense is, and they have a good run game. They were absolutely shut down by that Seattle defense. Absolutely shut down, and the Seattle defense have been doing a good number on teams recently. So, but as far as this one with going up against Minnesota, I think that one's also a little bit of a pick'em game as well. I'd probably slightly favor Minnesota in that one, but Minnesota has been struggling of recently as well. Rams taking on the Saints. I think this has to be the time that the Rams. It's now or never or it's not now or never for them because the NFC West is not the greatest, but they need to start reeling up some wins. And I think going up against a Saints team, which I think is not that good, I think the Rams will get that one. Buccaneers taking on Carolina. Carolina played a good, hard-fought game against Kansas City coming down to the wire. And you could argue, or not you could argue, Bryce Young is playing the best football of his career right now. But Tampa Bay is rolling. They got Mike Evans back. They finally got back to 5-6. You don't want to lose any more division games because the Falcons already have the lead over you, and and still Falcons will always have the tiebreaker. But you're playing catch up. You need to finish a game above them, and I think Tampa Bay, they're just a professional team about them, well-oiled machine. They'll get past the Panthers. We discussed the Eagles, Ravens. We'll save the Niners game for last. Browns taking on the Broncos. Browns have been able to show that they can pull off a win here and there, and they can ruin. I think they have a chance to play spoiler at this one, going up against the Denver Broncos team, which I think the Broncos team offensively with Bo Nix will struggle to put up points against this lockdown Browns defense. But on the other hand, what can Jameis Winston do against this Broncos defense as well? I think these are two really, really good defenses, and I think it's going to be a good old school battle showdown. The fact that it's on Monday night When's the last time you've seen Authority Field host a Monday night game that truly matters this late into the season? So that will be an interesting one. Niners taking on the Bills. Yeah, I mean, 49ers, they have their last chance as well. They cannot go down to 5-7. Brock Purdy, we're expecting him to be back, but we just don't know, honestly. And Nick Bosa as well. He's, he's progressing. Same with Trent. Yeah, I mean, all of them need to come back for the Niners to have a chance. Fred Warner, he had his ankle injury as well that he suffered a whole while back. He revealed that he was playing through it, and if you look at the performances from earlier this season to now, probably makes sense. Yeah, I'm not a biased person. I'm favoring Buffalo in this one. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Yeah, it's just simply. Thank you guys, though, for tuning into the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to